is that why your son went first?
I work for David.
Anne's the chair of the
They're all done now.
So I'm going to have you guys scoot up a little bit. We have a lot of faculty
Actually, at the stadium.
I'm just trying to think. I just probably have kids the same year. I know a graduate 2019 this year. College. We've got to
yeah, the kids, no, they all march in
makes
line. They have banners for each school, and they come down in two lines and march into the stadium, and then I think they go first. They march through the faculty, and then they go in first. And they're showing it on my board.
I wonder if
Hey Beth, look what they just handed us. Violet, actually.
It's on the left, right? It's right here, this knob.
Yeah, exactly. So be ready as soon as there's a place where we start playing. We're supposed to be singing out. Yeah. Bachelor that's the other thing.
At this, the 175th commencement exercise for the University of Notre Dame, we, the chief marshals of the university, have assembled the graduates, degree candidates, and the faculty in academic procession. We now direct that the gates of the arena be opened for the academic procession of the class of 2022.
Recipients of the University of Notre Dame. Now entering under the white banners are the graduates and degree candidates from the College of Arts and Letters. Since 2015, Arts and Letters has had 5 Rhodes Scholars, 6 Truman Scholars, and 143 Fulbright winners. The college is led by Sarah Mistillo, the I.A. O'Shaughnessy Dean and Professor of Sociology. The 2022 College of Arts and Letters class is composed of 90 Ph.D., 266 Masters, and 681 Bachelor's degree students. Entering under the gold and yellow banners are the graduates and degree candidates from the College of Science, led by Santiago Schnell, the William K. Warren Foundation Dean of the College and Professor of Biological Sciences. The college's accelerating research program expands our understanding of the universe while applying discovery to elevate the well-being of individuals and society. The 2022 College of Science class is composed of 88 Ph.D., 169 Masters, and 432 Bachelor's degree students. Now entering under the light brown banners are the degree candidates and graduates from the Mendoza College of Business, led by Martin Kremers, the Martin J. Gillen Dean, and Bernard J. Hank, Professor of Finance. The college is celebrating its 101st anniversary, and for the past decade has been ranked as one of the leading undergraduate business schools in the nation. The 2022 Mendoza College of Business graduating class is composed of 578 bachelor's and 711 master's degree students.
go. Let's go. We're number one.
Now entering under the orange banners are the graduates and degree candidates from the College of Engineering. The college was founded in 1873 and is led by Patricia Culligan, the Matthew H. McChesney Dean of Engineering and Professor of Civil Engineering. From hypersonics to nanoelectronics, the college is at the forefront of the engineering innovations that shape our modern world. The 2022 College of Engineering class is composed of 102 PhD, 79 master's, and 468 bachelor's degree students. Now entering under the purple banners are the graduates of the law school, which was founded in 1869 and is the oldest Catholic law school in the nation. It's led by G. Marcus Cole, the Joseph A. Matson Dean and Professor of Law. The 2022 law school class is composed of 230 graduates who received their degrees yesterday. Are the graduates and degree candidates from the Keough School of Global Affairs. The Keough School, which prepares students to advance peace, human rights, and other dimensions of integral human development, is composed of 9 international institutes and centers. The school admitted its first class of master's students in global affairs in August 2017 and is led by Scott Appleby, the Maryland Keough Dean and Professor of History. The 2022 Keough School class is composed of 5 PhD and 22 master's degree students. Now entering under the blue-violet banners are the graduates and degree candidates from the School of Architecture. The school was founded in 1898 and is led by Stefanos Palazoidis, the Francis and Kathleen Rooney Dean and Professor of Architecture. Notre Dame was the first Catholic university in America to offer a degree in the field. The 2022 class is composed of 16 master's and 21 bachelor's degree students. Joining the undergraduates and processing at the end of each line are master's and PhD graduates from each specific college or school who received their degrees yesterday. 125 doctoral and 914 master's students received their degrees in ceremonies in the Graduate School, the Keough School of Global Affairs, the Graduate Division of the Mendoza College of Business, and the Graduate Division of the School of Architecture. Now interim, under the blue and gold banner, are the representatives from the Notre Dame faculty from each college and school. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise to greet our deans, honorees, chairman of the Board of Trustees, executive vice president, provost, university president, and other distinguished members of the commencement platform party led by our university registrar.
Good morning. Members of the class of 2022, your family and friends, trustees, President's Leadership Council, deans, faculty, and staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my genuine pleasure to welcome you to the 177th commencement exercise and the 180th year in the life of the University of Notre Dame. We're delighted to see so many family and friends of our graduates here today. Today's ceremony is being simulcast on the internet. Please remain standing for the singing of America the Beautiful, led by Reverend Kevin Grove, C.S.C. Father Grove.
Skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Father Grove. Please be seated. We will begin our commencement exercises with an invocation, which will be delivered by this year's Salutatorian, Morgan LaSala, a native of Wayne, New Jersey, and a proud member of Flaherty Hall family. Morgan completed her degree in the Department of Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering, earning top honors with membership in Tau Beta Pi and Pi Tau Sigma, the Engineering and Mechanical Engineering Honor Societies. She's also served as a teaching assistant in the department and as a math and reading tutor at the Robinson Community Learning Center. Beyond her studies and community service, Morgan's defining commitments have been to Notre Dame's Naval ROTC program, in which she served as battalion commanding officer for more than 100 midshipmen. She received the Notre Dame Naval ROTC Leadership Award and the Chief of Naval Operations Distinguished Midshipman Award. Yesterday morning, Morgan, along with her Notre Dame ROTC classmates, received their commissions as officers in the United States Navy, Marine Corps, Army, and Air Force. She will soon begin flight school in Pensacola, Florida, where she will use her Notre Dame engineering degree as she trains to be a Navy pilot. Ladies and gentlemen, our Salutatorian, Ensign Morgan LaSala. Please stand.
As is our tradition at the University of Notre Dame, let us begin with a prayer. Almighty God, as we gather with family, friends, and classmates to celebrate our final moments as students at Our Lady's University, we thank you for putting us on a path that brought the class of 2022 together, and for guiding all of us to answer the calling to pursue higher education at the University of Notre Dame. We are grateful for the learning environment that nurtured our minds, bodies, and spirits, allowing us to mature and find our purpose. Thank you for your grace and patience as we adjusted and found our roles in our new community. We are thankful now for the challenges that strengthened our minds and forced us to ask questions, for the moral tests that bolstered our character, and for the strength to persevere with faith, integrity, and grace. We thank you for keeping our support systems strong and for putting extraordinary people on our paths who guided us here. For families who provided comfort and direction. For friends, roommates, and classmates who knew when to offer support, push us to work harder, or take us out for a meal when we needed it most. For professors who shared their passion and enthusiasm for knowledge and showed us what is possible. And for rectors and hall staff who provided a safe space in failure and triumph. Dear God, continue to guide us so that we may never be blind to the world's poverty, oppression, and injustice. Help us seek ways to assist others and have the wisdom to know when we need help ourselves. May we embody the pillars of a Holy Cross education as we find our purpose and share the spirit of Notre Dame. Help us use the tools that Our Lady's University gave us for good, and to always keep service and faith, regardless of creed, at the forefront of our decision-making. May God bless our class of 2022, including our newly commissioned military officers, and may the lessons learned and the grace of Our Lady's University guide us as we embark on the challenges that lie ahead. Please be seated.
Thank you, Morgan, for a moving and beautiful prayer. It's now my privilege to introduce this year's valedictorian, Mr. Devin Diggs of Olathe, Kansas, and the Dunn Hall community. Devin earned his degree in the College of Science with a neuroscience and behavior major and with a minor in education, schooling, and society through the Institute for Educational Initiatives. On campus, he was a 3-year research assistant in the Sleep, Stress, and Memory Lab of Professor Jessica Payne, studying how sleep and stress affect memory through cognitive neuroscience approaches. Devin has been involved with the SHIRT project throughout his 4 years on campus and was the project's president last year. Devin, I want to assure you that I've bought my shirt for next season. Devin has supported Notre Dame's COVID-19 response unit as a test site worker, has been a clinic volunteer at St. Joseph Family Medicine Center, and an intern at the St. Joseph County Department of Health. He was also a classroom volunteer at the Early Childhood Development Center on campus. Through the Center for Social Concerns, he participated in the Appalachia Social Concern Seminar in Wheeling, West Virginia during the spring break of 2020, the spring break of no return. A finalist for both the Rhodes and Marshall scholarships, Devin was selected for a postgraduate student award from the Fulbright Commission to pursue a master's degree in mental health and education at the University of York in England. Upon his return to the United States, He plans to attend medical school to prepare for a career as a physician researcher, serving children and families affected by early life adversity. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Devin Diggs for the valedictory.
Father Jenkins, Archbishop Gudziak, Mrs. Sharon, Lavigne, faculty, staff, and visitors. Welcome to the University of Notre Dame, and thank you for joining us here today to celebrate the class of 2022. To my fellow graduates, welcome to the culmination of these last 4 years at Notre Dame. Today, we remember the moments that brought us here, the laughs, the challenges overcome, and the growth into who we are at this very moment. We celebrate all that is to come in the future and reflect on the lessons learned through our time here. Class of 2022, I invite you to think back to one of the many football games we spent here in this very stadium. On this screen behind me, the words, "Make some noise," shone brightly, calling us to give our strongest support to the Fighting Irish. We screamed from the top of our lungs and filled this stadium with the deafening roar of our small but mighty student body. Loud behavior like this is typically only welcomed in stadiums or arenas, but today, I push you to continue to make noise as we leave Notre Dame. As graduates of Our Lady's University, we have a responsibility to use the power of our education to stand up for what we believe, to amplify the voices of those who go unheard, and to support one another as we pursue our heart's passions. These actions do not happen quietly. Modeling those who have come before us, we have built up the Notre Dame community by speaking up for our beliefs. This year, for the first time in university history, we had a full day of no classes on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. This change did not merely happen, but rather was the result of our student body, namely a student coalition led by Cassidy Farrell and Eliza Smith, insisting that time be set aside for us to reflect on our nation's history of inequality. 50 years ago, Father Hesburgh spoke up and led the university to admit women to the undergraduate student body. Recognizing education is not complete unless it embraces all perspectives, regardless of race, religion, status, and gender. What seems commonplace for us today only came about through radical steps against the status quo, the courage to raise one's voice against an intimidating majority. That is making noise, taking a stand for your beliefs to better the world around us. As we enter our new roles after graduation, we are going to face challenges of new environments, new rules. It is easy to stay quiet, but I challenge you to bring attention to issues that need addressing. Notre Dame has equipped us with the tools to do so, to think critically, to question, to debate, to synthesize our knowledge with creativity and ethics, draw on these lessons, and speak up for issues that matter. As graduates of a Catholic institution, we are called not only to stand up for our own rights, but to advocate for the vulnerable, to lift up the voices of those who do not have the same platform we do. We must recognize the inherent dignity in all of our lives and aim our education to elevate concerns beyond our own experience. In the summer of 2019, I traveled to Ghana to research healthcare accessibility for families with cerebral palsy. For 2 months, I went from home to home, conducting interviews with mothers on the challenges they faced in seeking care for their children. Initially, I was nervous. Why would these families share anything, let alone their personal struggles with me. To my surprise, I was met with intimate outpourings of the details and struggles that these families faced. Schools that refused to take their children, a reluctance to travel to the hospital due to social stigma, an inability to pay for treatment. When thinking about why I was met with such an open response, the answer became clear the more conversations I had. These stories had gone unheard, and this was these mothers' chance to finally share the hardships they endured, with the hope that improvements can come. We published and presented our findings to the regional health director, and finally, the stories of these families were shared. As we've heard several times these past 4 years, the mind will not be cultivated at the expense of the heart. Blessed Basil Moreau is saying that our education must be more than acquiring knowledge or becoming experts in our fields. It must look beyond ourselves and ask, how can we best serve those around us? Using our influence as Notre Dame graduates to elevate the concerns of others is exactly what we are called to do, and we are no strangers of doing so. Through Show Some Skin, highlighting the unspoken experiences on our campus, by advocating for just wages for our university workers, through research on vulnerable populations. The Catholic nature of Notre Dame has pushed us to universally embrace our neighbors and put solidarity into action. Lift up and create space for the voices of others. And finally, what brings us here today: to use our voices to support one another and to celebrate. Think again of us here in this stadium last fall, singing our alma mater, Notre Dame, our mother, tender, strong, and true. Last fall, thousands of students, fans, and alums donned the words strong and true on their chest as they wore Notre Dame's annual The Shirt. Having led this project, the words strong and true hold deep significance to me and to our class. These are more than just words on a shirt. We have lived these words and embodied their meaning. We are strong. It would be an understatement to say that these past 4 years did not come without challenges. Whether it was dealing with our first failed exam, fighting against a polar vortex, deciphering our identities and values, or even finding a date to SYR. We have been challenged. As Notre Dame students, we are, by definition, driven and committed to the many roles we take on, sometimes to our own detriment. My sophomore year, I fell victim to this. Overcommitted, my days were dictated by my schedule. From meetings to class to lab to homework to emails, no time to just be. Life was starting to lose its color, and the dome just didn't seem to shine the way it used to. What raised me out of this rut was recognizing my personhood and need for connection. For me, that meant joining an intramural sports team, pushing the limit on how long it's acceptable to sit in North Dining Hall with just the company of my friends, and daring to open up to people that life was not easy. For you, it may mean something completely different. We're even further reminded of our need for connection due to the unique hardship our class faced in the COVID-19 pandemic. Study abroad our junior year no longer involved travel to London or Singapore, but instead became something very different, logging into Zoom on the Embassy Suites on A Street. Distance from our friends so close we call family became months of separation without a clear end in sight. Despite all these hardships, we persevered, and here we are today. How? We loved each other in this place. Not love as in the sentimental feeling in our chest, but love as the radical commitment to be there for each other in the good times and the bad. It is that love that allows us to be here today, that gave us strength through hardship. If I have learned anything these past 4 years, it is that relationships are at the core of our human experience, and they cannot be neglected. As we prepare to enter a world with heightened responsibilities, where we once again will be separated by distance, I remind you of the strength that comes from a loving community. Not only are we strong, but we have stood true to the values that Notre Dame has instilled in us. It would be hard to leave this school without asking the questions: what are my moral obligations? What makes my life meaningful? Should I practice religion? How do I choose what to believe? While we may not have these answers yet, we explored, lived, and learned with classmates from all over the world with different backgrounds, experiences, and beliefs. In encountering new perspectives, we have either challenged or strengthened our previous beliefs or changed them altogether. And guiding all of this is the idea that we have been educated as a whole person, mind, body, and spirit. No matter what was thrown at us, we remained true to the Notre Dame education we have been blessed to receive. In the face of uncertainty, we served as the lifeblood of treasured traditions, the Keenan Review, Holy Half, the Senior Week, the 186 Days Dance, to name a few. If it were not for our class, these traditions could have been lost in 2019, but instead they returned in full force for future classes to continue. We stood strong in the face of adversity and true to our ideals. Today, we use our voices to celebrate all that we have and will accomplish. We did not get here alone. To Notre Dame, thank you for nurturing within us a sensitivity towards injustice and a concern for the common good, for providing us with a community where we can live and learn from one another and question our roles within the larger scheme of life. To our faculty and staff, for revealing to us what a relentless pursuit of the truth looks like and igniting the fire of inquiry within us, for pushing us to think larger than what we previously believed was possible. To our families and friends, for all the sacrifices and support that go unseen, for the love that fuels us in times of excitement and despair. Thank you all for supporting us on our journey to this point. You have witnessed us grow from the first-year students who are nervous for welcome weekend or to raise their hands in DBART 101 to agents of change, ready to serve the world as our education becomes service to justice. We are entering a time filled with war, genocide, inequality, and hunger. It is not the time to be quiet. It is on us to stand up for our beliefs, to lift others' voices, and to build community. Wear Notre Dame on your sleeves by letting your heart be filled with the passion to use your gifts for others. Dr. Nancy Michael, professor of neuroscience and mentor of mine, preaches that we are how we repeatedly spend our time. I hope you make time to find strength in your relationships, to live truth through your actions, and to be loud for what is important. Change does not occur with complacency. It requires vulnerability and the courage to speak up when you may not be asked to do so. Class of 2022, it has been an honor to learn and grow beside you. Time after time, you have instilled in me a faith in tomorrow as we work to be a collective force for good. Although we are about to embark on our separate paths, I know that our legacy will live on, strong and true. And so I ask you, what statements will you make? Whose voices will you amplify? What message will your work embody? Class of 2022, the world is listening. Let's make some noise.
Devin, after listening to you, I think there's little doubt that you and your classmates have the intelligence, vision, and heart, and dare I say the lung capacity, to make some noise. But importantly, so much of that noise is focused on being the voice for those in need. Thank you for your inspiring words and best wishes for much success and fulfillment in the years ahead. It's now my pleasure to call on the University President, Father John Jenkins, for the Hesburgh-Stepan Medal presentation.
Sir, when Notre Dame inaugurated the Hesburgh-Stepan Medal 6 years ago, it was to allow us upon occasion to recognize members of our Board of Trustees who have made uncommon and exemplary contributions to the governance and mission of the university. In 1967, University President Father Theodore Hesburgh, C.S.C., and then Board Chair Edmund A. Stepan reimagined Notre Dame's governance model, creating a two-tiered structure of a Board of Fellows and a full Board of Trustees, both including lay and religious members, which became a blueprint for similar changes at religious institutions across the country. The medal recalls their partnership and dedicated service to Notre Dame. You are a most fitting recipient of this medal, sir, for you have served this university with the same dedication, devotion, and vision that characterize the leaders for which it is named. A trustee for nearly 3 decades, you have led the board's investment committee, and thanks to your wisdom, foresight, and brilliant financial acumen, you have helped Notre Dame's investment office, which makes possible the university's work of education and inquiry, into one of the very best in American higher education. Your leadership has been matched by your largesse. As Notre Dame's most generous donor, you have made possible and supported many projects and initiatives, among them the Jordan Hall of Science, the Jordan Auditorium, the Malpass Scholars Program, the Alliance for Catholic Education, and numerous scholarships, fellowships, and grants for business studies, science, and engineering research and athletics. You are fond of saying that Notre Dame is more than a university. It is a way of life. With profound gratitude for the many ways in which you aspire us all to live that life ever more deeply, the University of Notre Dame bestows the Hesburgh-Stepan Medal on John W. Jordan II, J. Jordan to his friends, Palm Beach, Florida.
We now proceed to the conferral of honorary degrees. The highest degree in the Academy is the doctorate, a degree which designates that the recipient has completed a rigorous course of study, passed a stern set of examinations, and in the case of the PhD, has produced a major piece of original scholarship. Fulfilling these requirements demonstrates that the individual has enormous potential to improve and enrich the world. Occasionally, universities also award honorary degrees. As difficult as an academic doctoral degrees are to earn, honorary doctoral degrees are even more difficult and require much more work, for honorary doctoral degrees are not awarded for demonstrating the potential to improve the world, but rather for actually improving it. An honorary degree recognizes the excellence and virtue already embodied by the individual and connects the university with the values expressed through the honorees' work and accomplishments. Their presence honors and inspires us. 3 such individuals have been selected to receive honorary degrees in this year's class. the class of 2022. We will now confer the degrees. At the 177th commencement, the May exercises, the University of Notre Dame confers the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, on a courageous and trusted investigator with a storied law enforcement career, whose talent, persistence, and leadership have helped to transform her community, her country, and her church, leading the university to honor her with the Laetare Medal in 2020. Her unwavering moral vision and fierce dedication took her from serving as the state of Washington's first female patrol officer to leading the FBI in its third highest position, making her the ideal choice when the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops needed a visionary and tenacious leader for its newly created Office of Child and Youth Protection in 2002. Having demonstrated her great love for the Church through her tireless pursuit of justice for victims, accountability for abusers, and implementation of measures to eliminate the scourge of sexual abuse. On Kathleen McChesney, Palm Springs, California. The University of Notre Dame confers the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, on the grandson of Portuguese immigrants who, growing up in Fall River, Massachusetts, took a high school physics class and knew that he had found his passion. Making his way to Boston College for his undergraduate years and then on to Stanford for a PhD in theoretical physics. In his words, physicists simplify problems, structure them, get to the essence of the issue, and then derive effective solutions. A statement he has proven to be true throughout his extraordinary career as a nuclear physicist at MIT and in his generous and selfless service to our nation as the U.S. Secretary of Energy. A brilliant scholar and researcher recognized for his remarkable ability to discern how best to bring groundbreaking research to bear on both immediate and longer-term problems. He is a leader in the national and global dialogue about energy policy and a tireless advocate for a low-carbon future, as well as a champion in the prevention of catastrophic attacks with weapons of mass destruction. On Ernest Jeffrey Moniz, Cambridge, Massachusetts. The University of Notre Dame confers the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, on a distinguished scholar with a doctorate from Harvard in Slavic and Byzantine cultural history, and a steadfast advocate for human dignity who has dedicated his life to amplifying the voices of the oppressed. The son of Ukrainian refugees, he grew up in the United States and is an honorary citizen of Lviv, where he is organizer and president of Ukrainian Catholic University, or UKU, the first Catholic university established in the former Soviet bloc, while also serving as the Metropolitan-Archbishop of Philadelphia, the highest-ranking Ukrainian Catholic prelate in this country. After decades of Soviet suppression of the Ukrainian Catholic Church, during which it became known as the Church of the Martyrs, this honoree placed at the very center of UKU what he calls the two M's, the martyrs and the marginalized. The latter reflected in the creation of an Emmaus Center on campus where people with developmental disabilities and their families receive spiritual support and share their lives with the students. Now, as the war in Ukraine rages, this priest, scholar, and human rights advocate works tirelessly for peace and calls us all to pray, to be well-informed, and to do what we can. On Archbishop Borys Gudziak, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I have in my room an icon of St. John the Evangelist, painted by a Ukrainian iconographer which was given to me by our speaker, Archbishop Borys. What is unusual about this icon is that it was painted on crude wood taken from a Russian ammunition box from the war in eastern Ukraine. And the image is a daily invitation to meditate prayerfully on how wood that carried lethal weapons now bears the holy, reverent image of the evangelist, and more generally, on how good can be drawn from evil. Archbishop Borys's life has shown how, from a legacy of oppression, inhumanity, and destruction, we can draw forth hope and love. The Ukrainian Catholic Church, whose people our speaker served so faithfully, had been targeted by Joseph Stalin's Soviet regime for extermination. Its churches were confiscated, the public practice of its faith outlawed, and its priests and religious killed, sent to gulags, or exiled. Born in the U.S. to Ukrainian parents forced into exile by the Soviet regime, Archbishop Borys returned to Ukraine after the fall of the Soviet Union and was instrumental in establishing and leading the Ukrainian Catholic University. The university is flourishing as a center of learning and inquiry, and at its center, Archbishop Borys established the Emmaus community, a community of people with intellectual disabilities. In that institution dedicated to intellectual achievement, he wanted members of the Emmaus community to teach others about human dignity. After 20 years in Ukraine and 6 years in France, Archbishop Borys is now back in the United States as the chief prelate of the Ukrainian Catholics in the United States. His life has been a witness to how freedom and human dignity can arise by God's grace from the ashes of tyranny, oppression, and violence. He is a worthy speaker in our fraught times. Please welcome our commencement speaker, Archbishop Borys Gudziak.
Dear Father John, religious, political, social leaders, faculty, staff, parents, family, students, and dearest graduates, how are you doing today? Make some noise. I am incredibly moved by your hospitality and your singular solidarity. I want to tell you, millions of Ukrainians will see you waving these flags today. They will be heartened by your prayer, your love, and your commitment to truth. My hat is off to you, dear graduates. As a boy, and here I'll date myself, watching era Procession's championship football teams and mimicking Adrian Dantley's moves on the basketball court, I dreamt of appearing in a Notre Dame arena. So many kids dream of Notre Dame. Dear graduates, you have lived that dream. My youthful ambition was actually quite far-fetched, to make it to the NBA. That dream was dashed very early, when I was cut from the high school team. God had different plans, and I'm grateful. No NBA, no sports stardom at Notre Dame, yet childhood fantasies really never die. Today I am here with you, dear graduates. Thanks to you, I've made it to the house that Rockney built. And with your permission, I'm not going to waste this opportunity to try and complete a pass to you. I'm not kidding. I made it. We made it. Touchdown, Jesus. My personal awareness of Notre Dame was hardly just athletic. There have been many, many connections. I actually grew up as Father Hesburgh's paisano. His home parish was Most Holy Rosary on Bellevue Ave near my house in Syracuse. In my graduate school days in Cambridge, Father Brian Daly of your theology faculty, one of the most respected theologians in the world, was my professor and confessor, a priest and writer who had a singular impact on my life and who began his teaching career here. Henry Nouwen introduced me to life with persons with cognitive and developmental challenges, something that came, as you've heard, to define the Ukrainian Catholic University. Representing UKU in this arena, I express my profound gratitude for the warmth of your hospitality, Father John, graduates, parents, faculty, and staff of the University of Our Lady. The vocation of a university, an institution invented by the Catholic Church, is to foster the flourishing of the whole person. It is not merely a place to download information into a cyber brain. Universities should strive to embrace and enlighten the whole person, mind and body, soul and spirit, as Devin has already emphasized. They are called not to be only institutions of learning, but homes of wisdom, communities in which each is helped to discern one's destiny, God's plan for us. Notre Dame's vocation is to be a home of whole and holy wisdom. I hope that studying here under the golden statue of Our Lady, you felt embraced and blessed by God to the depth of your hearts, healed of your wounds, and filled with hope. It's an ongoing process, but I trust it is underway and will continue. During your years of study, you were confronted with basic life questions in difficult circumstances. You faced adversity. You asked, what should I do? How should I live? What should I cultivate in myself? And how should I shape my character? You learned to recognize and affirm human dignity even in adverse circumstances. Hopefully, you also learned to forgive and ask for forgiveness, how to give thanks. To be an authentic person, to live a good life, is not a theoretical exercise. It's not just academic. It takes practice. It's not easy. It takes heart. It is about heart that I would like to speak to you. Heart to your heart. By the grace of God, at the center of our being and what is often called our heart, we have been given the capacity to love, to make ourselves vulnerable to others, to experience the mystery and gift of relationships. Everything important, true, and eternal is in relationship to the other, with a small o and with a big O. We Christians confess God in three persons in relationship. God is a communion of persons. We are persons created in the image and likeness of God. We are personal. What does it really mean to be a person? It means to be a being in relationship. It's very different from an individual. A person needs to relate. We thrive in relationships. Alone, we are lonely, sad, and ultimately impotent. Self-centered, we become isolated and actually idiotic. That harsh word comes from the Greek, idios, one's own, private, idios, idiotes. Considering someone an idiot is actually not an intellectual evaluation. An idiot is someone who is self-absorbed, self-limiting, confined to oneself, withering in what is the destiny of every human person. In a mundane sense, the heart is but an organ, an anatomical feature among many. Yet its pulse conveys so much about our life, in fact, our very life. It is symbolic, it is sacramental. We share it with God, God shares it with us. We use the word heart to speak of the locus of our ecstasy and anguish, anxiety and harmony, sadness and consolation. It is there that we connect with one another. That communion becomes a participation in the life of God. In God's heart, we find our true peace and our true joy. That is our destiny. After all the social distancing, after those months and actually years where your studies were marked by all the protocols, let me ask you to touch each other right now. I want to ask you to pause and feel your neighbor's pulse. Graduates, parents, trustees, bishop, just find that pulse. Ask for a hand and feel the heartbeat of the person next to you. Just do it. Even if you're not a pre-med graduate, I trust you can find the beat, the rhythm, the pulse of the person the Lord has placed in your life right here and right now at this joyous celebration. Be still and listen. Touch with permission. and feel. Yes, even those my age, the throb is still there. Wow, the life of the other, a life to respect and enhance, celebrate and protect. Imagine, friends, there are 8 billion pulsing hearts on this planet, full of hope and promise, love and life. It was the moments flowing from the heart that touched the core of your being during your years at Notre Dame. These we celebrate, your hardy work and achievements, the open-hearted love of parents accompanying and, yes, paying for your education. Parents, we salute you. The heart throbs and heart breaks, your hearty laughter, your large-hearted volunteering, along with the seemingly sometimes heartless demands of professors. But high expectations are really a sign of respect. Your best moments at this university have been heart-to-heart. This is the call of Notre Dame. The human vocation and capacity to share in God's heart by loving, giving, and suffering with and for others. This is what Our Lady's University has offered to you, and now through you is offering to the world. Allow me to bring you to another place representing Mary so vividly today. Mariupol, or the city of Mary. For 2 months in the headlines, besieged by Russian invaders, destroyed and plundered, driven into the catacombs of a steel plant. Its defenders are symbols of unyielding courage, steely will, and yes, deep love. The members of the so-called Mariupol garrison stayed to protect the city of Mary, to protect the innocent, to fight for for humanity's dignity and freedom. Many are actually just like you, your age, with similar hopes and dreams. In these very hours, these heroes stand on a veritable death row. Yet right there, they are pronouncing marriage vows to each other, as did Valeria and Andriy Karpelenko on May 5th. Maybe you saw it. 10 days ago, and 3 days before Andriy was killed. You can imagine how their hearts raced. But they did not surrender. They exchanged marriage bands made of tinfoil. As a killer army closes in, God helps the defenders overcome fear. They speak clearly, with composure to the world. Their wives take their case to the powerful of the world, to Pope Francis, as did Katerina Prokopenko and Yulia Fedosyuk just this past Wednesday. Their hearts pound with a passion for the virtues, justice, beauty, and truth. And they're paying for those virtues with the highest price. Since fearlessness is the onset of eternity, this is their commencement. Think about that. Fearlessness, the onset of eternity. Jesus, when he appears to his disciples, the first thing he says, do not be afraid. And I encourage you, graduates, do not be afraid. Your confidence in the Lord is the beginning of your eternal life. That is your commencement. Why are we so mesmerized by Kyiv and Chernihiv, Irpin and Kharkiv, all these difficult names, Volnovakha and Kherson? Why have we learned, why did a courageous and colorful expletive make the tiny stone and grass-covered Snake Island world-renowned? Why have Americans and people of goodwill internationally contributed so generously to help? Why has your university committed itself in a special way to be in solidarity with Ukrainian Catholic University at this time of war. Why am I here? Why? Because you and I see the heart of a people and a country, the humanity and strength of its leaders who reflect the posture and character of a whole nation. Zelensky has become a household word, an icon of an intrepid nation, that nation which actually made Zelensky who he is. A nation of down-to-earth heroes, plucky patriots, hardcore lovers, those that look into eternity overcoming their fears. Countless Ukrainians demonstrate the greatest love. For no one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. We read Jesus' words in the Gospel of John. Despite the devastation and war, crimes, marauding and torture, mendacious lies and craven cruelty, we see their life. They have heart. And you are demonstrating that you want to share your hearts with them. Ukrainians have made the Bible come alive for the world. David stands with Goliath. The way of the cross has stations in Bucha and Borodyanka, Mariupol and Sumy. Jesus suffers with his people. We had a Lenten Holy Week like no other. We pray that the cross will again lead to the resurrection, to the victory of life over death. From the viscera and netherworld of Azovstal, those warriors, including students, recent graduates, and university professors, teach us the most important lesson: how to live fully, remain human, children of God, even in impossible circumstances. How to give of ourselves, how to sacrifice. At a time of great relativism, they teach us an eternal lesson. Some things are simply right and just, and some things are manifestly wrong and downright evil. There are things worth living for, and there are things worth dying for. Notre Dame has offered a singular response to the Russian invasion and devastation of Ukraine. My presence reflects your heartfelt solidarity. It is a sign of your capacity to love generously, to embrace, to serve, and save the suffering, to bless the cursed and lift up the downtrodden and trampled. A friendship launched by the Nanovic Institute for European Studies and Jim McAdams 18 years ago is being continued by the present director of the Nanovic Institute, Clemens Sedmak, and his wonderful team. On Friday, Father Jenkins announced a comprehensive program supporting UKU's students and scholars with opportunities for study and research internships to help the university prepare for its post-war mission in Ukraine. May the Lord reward you 100-fold. The calling of the community of Our Lady's University is indeed a high one. In fact, the founders understood it to be divine. To uphold the duty and honor of Notre Dame diploma means to feel the pulse of the people on all continents, of immigrants at our southern border, and refugees throughout the world, of those in our towns and cities who do not have equal opportunities, to feel the pulse of the unborn, the disabled, the sick, and the aged, to feel their pulse and follow its call. You have felt your neighbor's heartbeat. Now check your own. You know where it is. Let this be your everyday practice. I have in mind the ancient gnothi sevarton. Really know yourself for who you are and who you are meant to be, because you do have a destiny. It's eternal. You've been prepared for life by this university, to live it well, to rejoice wholeheartedly, to give life's challenges your full self, to relate and speak heart to heart, to live without fear with a vision of eternity. Congratulations, class of 2020. Your parents, grandparents, family and friends, your teachers and mentors at Notre Dame hearten you to become confident, mature, creative persons who have the gifts to fight for the good. They have loved you into being who you are. Now be stout-hearted. Go and love the world in return, person by person, heart to heart. And let us follow Devin's inspiring call. Go Irish. Make some noise. Thank you.
Archbishop Gudziak, thank you. You've touched our hearts, inspired us by your example, your leadership, and your faith. Slava Ukraina! Graduates, just as you will soon begin a new life outside the university, so too will several members of the faculty who will be promoted to emeritus status with the close of this academic year. Each has served the university and countless numbers of students with distinction and commitment. You can find the full list on page 75 of the program. It's my privilege to recognize those emeriti faculty in attendance today. I ask each emeritus faculty member to rise and turn toward the students when I call your name and state the number of years you have served this university as a faculty member. Please remain until all have been recognized. Please hold your applause until all the names have been called. Matthew J. Barrett, Professor Emeritus, Law, 31 years. Joseph Sharon, Teaching Professor Emeritus, Marketing, 5 years. Noreen Dean Moran, Teaching Professor Emerita, English, 30 years. Robert M. Dunn, Professor of the Practice Emeritus, Electrical Engineering, 13 years. David W. Gasparetti, Professor Emeritus, German and Russian Languages and Literatures, 33 years. Paul W. Huber, Professor Emeritus, Chemistry and Biochemistry, 37 years. Dale M. Neese, Advising Professor Emeritus, Management and Organization, 14 years. Susan C. Omer, Professor Emerita, Film, Television, and Theater, 24 years. Janet L. Utusa, Professor Emerita, Accountancy, 21 years. Steve A. Tomasulu, Professor Emeritus, English, 24 years. And Jerry C. Way, Professor Emeritus, Information Technology, Analytics, and Operations, 35 years. Please join me in recognizing these faculty members for their many years of contribution. On behalf of the university, I now have the honor of recognizing faculty members for their excellence in teaching and advising. Their names are listed on pages 83 to 84 of the commencement program. Earlier today, the photos of the award winners were shown on the video boards. I ask all those faculty receiving awards for their teaching and advising to please rise. Class of 2022. While these individuals were singled out for their excellence in teaching and advising, it is right to recognize your other teachers as well. Next to your families, you may owe more to your faculty and rectors for your degree, for your formation, for your university education, than to any other single group of people. In the future, when you look back at the time you spent studying here, I suspect it will not be the bits of knowledge you learned that you will cherish the most, but the people who clothe that knowledge in wisdom, insight, and caring. I ask all the faculty and rectors to rise, and I ask the class of 2022 and all of the rest of us as well to give them one final ovation. You're getting your exercise, aren't you? Next, I ask you to join me in congratulating those students who are graduating with Latin honors. Would those students graduating summa cum laude, who are in the top 5% of their college's class, please stand and be recognized? Would those students graduating magna cum laude, who are in the top 15% of their college's class, please stand and be recognized? And would those students graduating cum laude, who are in the top 30% of their college's class, please stand and be recognized? It's now my pleasure to call on the Chair of the Board of Trustees, Mr. John J. Brennan, for the introduction of our Laetare Medal winner.
Madam, as a special education teacher, you dedicated your career to supporting and guiding those most at risk in your community. But after spending 38 years in service of others, you did not seek a quiet retirement. Instead, you were called to join a new fight. Over the course of your life in St. James Parish, you have witnessed the transformation of your beloved home from a bountiful farmland to a region burdened by a proliferation of chemical plants and refineries. You have seen dear friends and family members succumb to diseases caused by environmental toxins and watched as a dark cloud of industrial pollution has fallen over your community. This crisis, which has disproportionately affected people of color and those already marginalized, has caused many to despair or to flee. At a time when others found no cause for hope, when they encouraged you to give up or to move from the land that had been in your family for generations, you chose to rise up for the people of St. James Parish. You began humbly with a gathering of 10 friends and neighbors in your living room. Now, as founder and director of Rise St. James, you have given voice to the voiceless. You have faced down the Goliaths that threaten the health of your community, and you have brought national attention to the issue of environmental racism. You have stated, I know God has me here for a reason, so I want to do His will. He put a fight in me that I can't even explain. I've gotten closer to Him, and I'm so glad I'm closer to Him because now we can fight anything. Indeed, by heeding God's call, you serve as a beacon of hope and inspiration. In celebration of your steadfast faith, principled leadership, and dedication to protecting the vulnerable, the University of Notre Dame bestows upon you the highest honor we can, the Laetare Medal, on Sharon Lavigne, St. James, Louisiana.
Good morning. I'm beyond honored and humbled to be here with you today, receiving such a prestigious award, Laetare Medal Award. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your commencement weekend. Congratulations to the graduates, faculty, and staff. When Louisiana comes to mind, most people think of New Orleans and Mardi Gras. But as a lifelong resident of a smaller, lesser-known St. James Parish, I can honestly say Louisiana means much more to me. It means family and friends. It means culture and tasty food. It also means community and faith. And those are the things I have been called to protect. For myself, my children, my grandchildren, the neighbors and friends I have known over the years. Faith has always been a large part of my life. My father, Milton Cayette Sr., was a God-fearing man and instilled those values into all of his children. Our family prayed the rosary every day at 5 p.m., and we went to church every Sunday. I was taught early on by my father that prayers changes things. He modeled that belief throughout his life, especially when he changed the face of St. James Parish in 1966, when he integrated St. James High School. As an ambassador of change, I feel that I have been called to honor my father and represent our Heavenly Father in the earthly realm. And that's what motivated me to found Rise St. James, a faith-based grassroots nonprofit organization fighting for clean air and water and stopping the expansion of petrochemical industries in St. James Parish. I was no longer willing to sit idly by while my community, part of what is known as Cancer Alley, grew sicker, while my family and friends in low-income families of color suffered due to toxic emissions and cancer-causing chemicals released by these industries. That meant going up against major companies such as Formosa Plastics and Wanwan Chemicals. But compelled by my belief in my community and strengthened by my faith, I pushed forward in my calling to speak for those who could not speak for themselves. As I stand here today, to you, the students, the next generation, I hope you all never doubt that you are called to demonstrate His greatness through your lifestyle, to influence the world around you. As you celebrate today and move forward in your paths, remember you are called to be a world-class leader within your sphere of influence. Do not let circumstances distract you from fulfilling your purpose. May God bless each one of you, and may God protect our environment, land, and nature. Congratulations again to the students. Continue to walk in faith and trust your path as you work towards your goals. Thank you, Notre Dame, for allowing me to celebrate with you, your faculty, and staff. Thank you for choosing me to receive the 2022 Laetare Medal. I will continue to fight for the lives of St. James Parish communities, following my faith and trusting God's plan. Remember, happy is the one who learns to wait as he prays and never loses his patience. God's time is the right time because it will change the state of the world. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Lavigne, and thank you for your deeply personal, generous, and memorable words to our graduates and their families. May we all be inspired by you to find our own ways to be ambassadors of change in big ways and small. Thank you. Yesterday, degrees were awarded by the Graduate School, the Graduate Division of the Mendoza College of Business, the Law School, and the Keough School of Global Affairs. So that we, too, may congratulate these graduates, will those of you who received your degrees in one of these ceremonies please rise? Please join me in honoring these students. Thank you. The dean of each college and school awarding baccalaureate degrees will now formally present their candidates for degrees to the university's president, Father John Jenkins, for conferral of those degrees. To be clear, this makes those degrees official. I ask that each dean in turn, beginning with Dean Sarah Mastillo of the College of Arts and Letters, please come forward to present their candidates for baccalaureate degrees.
Will the candidates for the bachelor degree in the College of Arts and Letters and the faculty of the College of Arts and Letters please rise? Reverend Father President, I am pleased to present to you the candidates who have completed the requirements for the bachelor's degree in the College of Arts and Letters. As Dean of the College and in the name of the faculty of the college, I now ask that you confer upon them the degree which they have earned.
Thank you, Dean Mastillo. By the authority vested in me as president of the University of Notre Dame du Lac, and in the name of the trustees of the university and its faculty, the faculty of the College of Arts and Letters, I solemnly and publicly confer on you the degree recommended by your dean. We admit you to all its rights and privileges and remind you of the responsibilities you are about to assume. May God bless and keep you. Congratulations.
Will the candidates for the bachelor degree in the College of Science and the faculty of the College of Science please rise? Reverend Father President, I'm pleased to present you the candidates who have completed the requirements for the bachelor degree in the College of Science. As the Dean of the College, and in the name of the faculty of the College, now I ask you to confer upon these students the degrees that they have earned.
Thank you, Dean Schnell. By the authority vested in me as President of the University of Notre Dame du Lac, and in the name of the trustees of the university and the faculty of the College of Science, I solemnly and publicly confer on you the degree recommended by your dean. We admit you to all its rights and privileges and remind you of the responsibilities you are about to assume. May God bless and keep you. Congratulations.
Will the candidates for the bachelor degree in the College of Engineering and the faculty of the College of Engineering please rise? Reverend Father President, I am pleased to present to you the candidates who have completed the requirements for the bachelor degree in the College of Engineering. As Dean of the College, and in the name of the faculty of the College, I now ask that you confer upon these students the degree which they have earned.
Thank you, Dean Culligan. By the authority vested in me as President of the University of Notre Dame du Lac, and in the name of the trustees of the university and the faculty of the College of Engineering, I solemnly and publicly confer on you the degree recommended by your dean. We admit you to all its rights and privileges and remind you of the responsibilities you are about to assume. May God bless and keep you. Congratulations.
Will the candidates for the bachelor degree in the Mendoza College of Business and the faculty of the Mendoza College of Business please rise? Reverend Father President, I am pleased to present to you the candidates who have completed the requirements for the bachelor degree in the Mendoza College of Business. As Dean of the College, and in the name of the faculty of the college, I now ask that you confer upon these students the degree which they have earned.
Thank you, Dean Krimmers. By the authority vested in me as President of the University of Notre Dame du Lac, and in the name of the trustees of the university and the faculty of the Mendoza College of Business, I solemnly and publicly confer on you the degree recommended by your dean. We admit you to all its rights and privileges and remind you of the responsibilities you are about to assume. May God bless and keep you. Congratulations.
Will the candidates for the Bachelor of Architecture degree in the School of Architecture and the faculty of the School of Architecture please rise? Reverend Father President, I am pleased to present to you the candidates who have completed the requirements for the bachelor degree in the School of Architecture. As Dean of the school, and in the name of the faculty of the school I now ask that you confer upon these students the degree which they have earned.
Thank you, Dean Palizoides. By the authority vested in me as president of the University of Notre Dame du Lac, and in the name of the trustees of the university and the faculty of the School of Architecture, I solemnly and publicly confer on you the degree recommended by your dean. We admit you to all its rights and privileges and remind you of the responsibilities you are about to assume. May God bless and keep you. Congratulations. Before going on to my charge to this class, I need to acknowledge just a few people. Bob McQuaid has served this university as Vice President for Human Resources since 2005 and worked hard and effectively to enhance the development and well-being of our most valuable resource at Notre Dame, the faculty and staff who work here. Bob is now beginning a well-deserved retirement, and we wish Bob and his wife Mike the very best as they begin this new chapter. I also want to offer a special word of thanks to Laura Carlson, Vice President and Associate Provost and Dean of the Graduate School. Laura has recently accepted a position as Provost at the University of Delaware. We could not be more grateful to you, Laura, for your invaluable contributions to Notre Dame as a teacher, scholar, and administrator. We wish you and your husband, Rob, the very best as you take on this critical new leadership opportunity. And finally, someone who is not leaving but to whom we owe a great debt of gratitude, our MC for today, Chris Maziar. We had a transition in the Provost's office last December. I needed someone of the highest ability, experience, good judgment, and dedication to take up this critical role as we search for a successor. We could not have found a better person to do this than Chris Maziar. She has led the office seamlessly as we conducted a search. She brought great experience, having been at Notre Dame since 2004 and having served as provost at the University of Minnesota. Chris combines the highest intelligence and administrative judgment with a real selflessness and the true heart of a servant leader. She not only steadied the ship of the university in transition, but kept it moving forward at a very good clip. We are deeply grateful. Please join me in thanking Bob, Laura, and Chris. It's now my job to give you a charge, but I'm going to ask for help in this regard. I'm going to ask someone who is the oldest, or should I say, the most mature member of the baccalaureate class of 2022. He was perhaps the best ever to play his position on the Notre Dame football team, and went on to become an all-pro player, a Super Bowl champion, and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His early life was not easy. As a youth in Detroit, he and his brother made ends meet by selling crack cocaine, and he remembers being involved in gun battles on the streets. But he has gone to found a charity, the Bus Stops Here Foundation, that provides inner-city youth with opportunities and resources to help them become healthy, confident, and productive members of society. After his football career, he established several highly successful businesses and currently hosts a television show and often serves as a television commentator. These are all remarkable accomplishments, but they are not the reason I've asked him to speak. I've asked him to speak because after all those remarkable accomplishments, he returned to Notre Dame to complete his degree simply to give young people an example of the value of education. As we celebrate your educational accomplishments, this person is an example to us and everyone about the value of education. Class of 2022, I give you your classmate, Jerome Bettis.
Right in the park here. Father Jenkins, Board of Trustees, esteemed faculty, class of 2022, and Archbishop, great pass, by the way. I scored a lot of touchdowns in this stadium. That was an impressive pass. But this class, we would go for 2 as a class of 2022. Before I start, I want to say a special thank you to my lovely wife, Tramika, my daughter Jada, my son Jerome, for allowing me to make this dream day a reality. Please believe me, this will not take very long, and like you, I have been waiting 28 years to celebrate this moment. And for those of you in the class, if you're asking and wondering, who is this old guy up here you're graduating with? I just want to tell you a little of my story, and it's really pretty simple. I came here back in 1990 with every intention to graduate. But after 3 amazing seasons, the NFL and its fortunes came calling, and I left. But promising my mother that I would graduate, but I took a long road. And after a 13-year career, a Super Bowl victory, and induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I returned to finish my degree. Mom, promise made, promise kept. With apologies to the class of 1994, I am proud to be a graduate in the class of 2022. Now, given my story, I believe I'm in a unique position to give a few words of wisdom to you, my fellow classmates. Know that your future is bright. You made a great decision coming to and graduating from the University of Notre Dame. But I ask you the same question that was asked of me almost 30 years ago. What will your legacy be? As you leave here today, you will be writing your legacy, one with the class of 2022, the other with your personal journey. Collectively, we all help create the legacy of the 2022 class with what we do with our lives and how we affect the world around us. First, I want to talk about your personal legacy and how it will be written. But please understand, it would not be how much money you made, but the difference you made in someone's life. Not the political policies that I'm sure you will no doubt change, but the amount of lives that you will somehow change. Not the assets that you will acquire in a lifetime, but your ability to be an asset in someone else's. And not your ability to raise capital, but your ability to raise your children with humility, empathy, and love. This is how your legacy will be written. Take it from me. I've got about 30 years head start. And don't forget, like Mr. J. Jordan, don't forget the university. And our collective legacy will be one that we strengthen her doors in order to preserve the next generation's opportunity to change the world. If we can do this collectively, our legacy will be written. as the best class in the history of Notre Dame. The class of 2022. Go Irish.
We have recognized many deserving. Well, first, I want to thank Jerome. That was a great send-off to this class, and he's proud to be a member of this wonderful class. We have recognized so many deserving people today, but we have not recognized one group sufficiently that is most deserving. Graduates, you would not be here if it were not for the support, care, and love of your parents, guardians, and families. They have many, many times applauded you. We need to recognize them. So graduates, I ask you to turn and applaud those without whom you would not be here, your parents and your families. Graduates, take what you've learned at Notre Dame and go forth and do good. Always be as generous as you can with your time, your talents, and your treasure in your family life, your personal life, and your spiritual life, every day of your life. Never forget that your charge as Notre Dame graduates is to be a force for good. One of my true joys, genuinely, maybe my greatest joy as president, is to meet alumni from Notre Dame all around the world and to hear of their remarkable accomplishments and their dedicated service. There will, I'm sure, be successes and accomplishments for each of you, and I look forward to meeting you someday in the future and hearing about those remarkable accomplishments and your dedicated service. I'm sure there'll also be challenges and difficulties and setbacks, but just know always you are in our prayers here at Notre Dame. And know that wherever you go, whatever happens, you will always have a home at Notre Dame. God bless you all. Go Irish.
Class of 2022, Dr. Ken Dye, his staff, and your fellow students have provided music for this weekend and throughout the year. And a newcomer to the commencement platform, Father Kevin Grove, has and will ably lead us in song. So would you please join me in giving our musicians a round of applause? We now come to the conclusion of the 177th commencement of the University of Notre Dame. Class of 2022, I join Father John in extending to you, on behalf of the board, the faculty, and the staff, the best wishes of your alma mater, now and for all the days of your life. Be well, do good, keep learning, and Godspeed. Our 2022 commencement exercises will now conclude with the benediction provided by Archbishop Gudziak, and then the singing of Notre Dame, Our Mother, led by Father Grove. Afterward, the platform party and the faculty will recess from the stadium. Would all graduates and guests please remain in your seats until the platform party and faculty have left the stadium? Graduates, as you exit the stadium tunnel, please keep walking forward on the library mall so that those following you will have room to exit. Thank you all for your presence here today, and once again to our graduates, congratulations. Please stand for the benediction. Archbishop Gudziak.
You have asserted the victory of life over death with those blue and yellow flags. Let us pray in the words of the resurrectional hymn of the Eastern Church. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling death by death, and to those in the tombs giving life. May the mantle of the Mother of God, Notre Dame, be over you, and the company of the saints be with you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. And may the blessing of Almighty God, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit descend upon you, fill your hearts with wisdom and joy, and remain with you all the days of your life. Amen.
Notre Dame, our Mother, tender, strong, and true, proudly in the heavens gleams thy gold and blue. Glory's mantle cloaks thee, golden is thy fame, and our hearts forever praise